With the threat of AI taking over the workplace, it's important that you take actionable steps versus sitting back and watching it happen.
Yeah, so we brought in our AI expert here, Josh. So, Josh, why don't you tell everybody kind of what you're working on, what you're seeing right now? Because I think a lot of people are sitting back. You call them sleeping ducks. I think a lot of people are sitting back. They don't want to implement AI because that might mean that their job's gone, right? So they're resistant, right? Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, I would say there's really two types of people right now. One that's all in, trying to replace themselves with AI, trying to implement as much as possible in the business. The other is soon to be unemployed and soon to no longer have a business. And that's really just because how quickly the world is changing. I mean, it is honestly not clickbait to say that the world is changing so quickly, and if you are not adapting, you are completely screwed. And so right now, I would say last year, the things that we were doing, we were able to automate and replace 20% of our workforce. And that made us 20% more effective. Now it's closer to 95%. And I am not joking when I say 95% of the roles within my company are 100% AI right now.
So let's jump back to last year, because when you started blowing me away with things that you were doing, like the AI agents and all that kind of stuff, that's all kind of commonplace now, right?
Anything that involves typing on your computer can be done by AI. If all it takes is you doing a task to move from one tab to another and to scan stuff and to have knowledge, it is not very usable. It's not useful. Any knowledge-based workforce is virtually irrelevant.
Well, so let's take a few steps back here. And I think a lot of people think that their whole job can't be replaced by AI. And I would argue that their whole job on a lot of like upper roles can't be replaced by AI. But what AI could do is streamline their job so that they don't need as many people for that position.
Even I know that's old thinking.
Yeah, so let's just go through what is a job. It's really just a series of tasks. When you hire someone to do something, there's, let's say, 12 different tasks that they're in charge of on a daily or a weekly basis, and that rolls up to a KPI. And the goal of that is to make the business more efficient, to achieve your deliverables and fulfill on the good or service that you're promising someone else when they pay you for something. But if you break down every single one of those tasks into workflows, AI can do almost every single one of them. So then the question is, what can't AI do? Well, it's not going to have the human-to-human connection that we have right now. And you still want to do business with me as a person because you trust that I'll get it done at the end of the day.
And it can't move things physically.
Correct.
Right?
And so then it doesn't have a good judgment and taste in a lot of ways.
Right.
So a lot of the creative work, AI is terrible at, because AI can do it, but it doesn't know what humans respond to. And so right now, we have AI doing every single piece of everything on social media, except the final touch of the human judgment. Because you can say, what is a good video? And AI can tell you the components of a good video, but it doesn't know if humans relate to it and if they actually enjoy it or not.
So also, the decision-making processes when it comes to, obviously AI can give you options, but the nuance of decision making, the nuance of what to put in. Because what I've seen with AI is if you put in all the prompts, it can do whatever you need it to do, but it can't pick which prompts to pull in as efficiently.
I would say prompting was important a year ago. It's not very important today. Now, if you ask AI, it will give you the prompt to ask it, and it will do it for you. Like virtually, if you ask Claude Code, here's the workforce that I need, tell me how to replace it. It can break it down into every single micro task, and you can build an AI agent with zero experience at all to do it for you.
So walk us through, like an accountant. Like, what would you do if you stepped into a company today and they had 3 or 4 accounting people? What are the moves you would make?
I would first want to have their laptops monitored for the entirety of their workday, because you need to figure out what buttons are they pressing and why are they pressing them. And so it would be acknowledging why, like, you're doing these 12 different tasks. Let's break every single one into a micro task, and you build an AI agent to replace each micro task. AI is not good at saying replace an accountant. But if you say, hey, first I'm scraping this property and there's all these receivables, and then I'm matching them with this other, with all the rent and the expenses. It can do that one task very well. So you build an AI agent for that one singular task, and then you go, what's the next step of this accountant? Build an AI agent for the next workflow and the next one, and then you would have 12 AI agents that are working for you on that property, and then the accountant would overlook it and make sure it's correct. So you have people that need to shear the ship and make sure and double check everything, because it will 100% make mistakes still. And I think if you let it do everything, you will have some severe accounting issues.
Yeah, of course. But then, so you're saying build out the AI agents and then have somebody oversee that.
Yes.
And then what happens when that gets perfected?
Then I'm sorry to accountants.
Yeah. No, really, right?
Yeah.
Because first of all, we're all inputting stuff and we're making mistakes now, right? And then the human person sits down and reviews that and fixes it. So you're saying all that data work, all that online stuff that they're doing can all be replaced with AI agents. And then the only component is that last step of the review.
Yeah. Or if it involves human judgment and taste. With accounting, it doesn't. It's black or white. And so that job is for sure going to be gone, because it's not, is this good or is it bad? It's
Right.
very black or white.
It's extremely
for
black
jobs that are more a lot of gray area, like what we do with marketing. We could tell you every single component of a great video, and 12 different people could have 12 different videos, and they would. And so then which one is good? And AI can learn from data, and that's where having data is so important as to why videos are good. But it's not going to just, if you one prompt it, it's never going to be excellent.
So what can people do versus sit back and just watch their jobs disappear? Because I think that a lot of people, they want to put their head in the sand because they think, A, that their job can't be replaced, but B, that there's nothing they can do about it. So, I know that you have kind of been an AI leader in a lot of companies that you work with. And we know people that have taken on the role of AI leader in their own companies. And I think that's an important, thing for people to realize, that this is such a massive opportunity.
Yeah, first let me tell you a funny story. I was playing pickleball the other day, and I was playing with this kid that I've never met before, and it came up what he does, and he's an AI expert at a local bank here in Arizona. And I said, so tell me, like, what are you doing? And he said, well, I just teach these old guys and gals like the new technology and how to use it. And I said, okay, so tell me these AI workflows that you're building. And he said, oh, I don't do that. I literally just stay on top of the news and give them the technology and tell them how to use it. And I was
Well, he's really not an expert.
I was like,
at
so
all.
what are you doing? And he said, I don't know, but I'm getting paid $250,000 a year. $250,000 a year to just teach old people how to prompt like a GBT. And so I found that to be incredibly funny, because a lot of businesses are just throwing money because they're building these AI budgets, when you're not looking at it from, is this improving the business? And there's only two things that are going to improve the business. Are you reducing costs and improving efficiencies, or are you driving more revenue? And for some reason, that gets completely thrown out the window because you just have to make your company AI. So first off, it's looking at like, what is driving revenue for your company and what can you do to improve efficiency? So if you want to be an AI leader at your company, first think of what is your job, and then think about how can you replace your job with AI, because that will make you way more valuable. People are putting their head in their sand and they're saying, I don't want to do this because I'm scared of AI. But if you show your employer that, hey, look at what I've done, do you think that they wouldn't say?
That's a good point. Right now, when I heard a really good analogy. He said, the employee needs to be a pilot. They need to understand how to pilot AI. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
100%. And that's really the 5% of work that's not being replaced right now. And that's the human judgment. So that makes incredible people 100 times more valuable. Because what would you do, Ken, if someone on your team said, hey, I just replaced myself here, why don't I do it for everyone else at the company? Well, I mean, as an entrepreneur, how would you respond to that?
Of course. Yeah. Well, and it does look like what's going to be left are entrepreneurs.
Well, let's not go there because we're trying to be positive.
What
and
if I
spin this
want?
well.
What if I want?
Well,
to?
how can someone be an entrepreneur within their own company? Because even if someone works for you, they can still be entrepreneurial minded. And so how would you train that in your own company, Ken?
Yeah, I would have a whole bunch of pilots.
So the truth is, what Josh was saying is, yes, you can replace your own workflow. And I think people are afraid to do that because they think that will get them fired because, oh, you replaced yourself. Awesome. We don't need you. But in reality, that makes you, nobody's doing that. So that will your boss who doesn't know how to do that is going to look at that like, oh my God, that's so great. And then to your point, all of a sudden, you can be the AI person and it's going to pay well because there's not that many people that can do it. And you can start replacing and cutting down their expenses because to your point, businesses just look for ways to cut expenses right now. And they're trying to just let people go and give people more work. But when you're replacing with these AI bots, I mean, it's saving a whole salary or, 75% of a salary, right? If you have 12 accountants, maybe you need 2. There's so much savings there that people are just missing this big opportunity to be that person.
Yeah, and honestly, it's so good you can literally just ask AI and it will figure it out for you. That's the power of the technology that we have now. Because we run so many AI agents that you pay for tokens. And so last month we spent $8,000 on tokens, which is a lot of money for the amount of things that we're doing. So I asked AI, how can you reduce my token cost? And it reduced its own token cost by becoming more efficient. And it went from $8,000 a month to $3,500 a month. And it did it proactively for the same on Claude that I'm paying Claude and it's telling me how it can reduce its own expenses. So you can do that on your own workforce. So what we've done is we just put screen monitoring on, and I mean, you can say it's unethical or whatever, but every single person agreed to it on the team. They said, yeah, we want to do this. We want to be replaced. And so then we brought in AI engineers from Oracle, where their job is to look through every single workflow that every single job is currently doing. So think about an editor. Well, how many micro tasks go into editing a video? And then we can automate right now 95% of it instantly from one Google Drive video. You can have a rough cut, you can have B-roll that gets auto-generated from the internet and edit a video, and then the editor just comes in and cleans it up and makes it slightly better. And you can do that by just screen sharing and literally giving it to Claude or a different AI and saying, this is what I do, how can I become more efficient? What parts of this can you replace? And if you're just coming at things with a degree of curiosity and open-mindedness and actually trying to improve, there's infinite knowledge at the touch of your fingers. So it's just taking advantage of it.
So I heard that there's kind of a challenge out there where there's guys that are trying to build billion-dollar companies with no employees. Have you heard of this?
It just happened.
Yeah. So walk us through that. Literally, think about this. I'm going to build a billion-dollar company with no employees.
Yeah,
right?
There was actually, this is the first person in human history. There was 2 brothers that just built a $1 billion company. It was last week that it just came out. And
what was it? What is it?
I honestly didn't. All I saw was the tweet about it. So
Okay.
I don't know too much about the details. But the way that you would do it is the same thing you would do every single business. So you would have a model, let's say. I don't think it would happen for you in real estate right now because you need people.
Yeah.
But for what I do is I do social media and I do marketing for companies. And so it would be looking at every single tasks within our organization and building AI infrastructure to where it can do the tasks as good as humanly possible. And because we have the data that shows what is good and what is bad, it becomes self-fulfilling as to when something good happens, that is a green mark for the data to do more things like it. And when something bad happens from poor views and poor leads and poor sales, you do less of it. And then you would just get as many customers as humanly possible. And now you can automate customer acquisition from AI. I could make thousands of advertisements and it just becomes pure math. I can build a sales funnel. I can run all my advertisements with no human intervention.
And let me just explain, what a $1 billion company would be, call it just 5 years ago. It would have an HR department. You don't need that, right? I mean, you would have customer service. You don't need that. It would have marketing and advertising. You don't need that. It would have a sales force. You don't need that.
But you keep saying you don't need that stuff, but you do because you need.
Not according to this person who just built a $1 billion company with no employees.
Well, you don't know anything about his company.
Well, but if you
you
have
gotta
$1
have
billion
sales,
of cash coming in,
and you're going to have customer service issues. So you still need a team. You just can have AI be in the forefront of it.
Stop. That's wrong. There
don't
is
think
no
it is.
team. No. When you say there's a $1 billion company with no employees.
Yeah, but they're outsourcing.
So where's the team?
Well, they're outsourcing it to AI. They don't have anyone. It's AI that does all the work.
But we don't know that because we don't know anything about the company.
Except for that they was a big news article.
Yeah, but they're 2 employees, and I believe that. But it doesn't mean that they're not outsourcing anything with people.
See, here we go.
But my question would be,
She still thinks that there's people needed.
if there is something that requires your laptop and doing work, especially if the work is black and white like accounting, if there's a definite answer, then right now with 100% certainty, you can replace that role. And if you show me any role within any organization where there's no judgment involved, you can 100% replace them.
I've got an idea. Why don't you tell me what person is needed right now?
Well, I don't know what this company is or what they sell, but
In any company, a salesperson. Is a salesperson needed today?
It depends on what you're doing. If you're selling a high ticket service, yes. If it's low ticket, let's say it was a $300 per month service. And right now you don't talk to a salesperson. If it's a $300 per month service, all you do is you see something that you want. There's a compelling offer. You click and you buy it. And then all the work gets done for you. So that would be traditional SaaS or software as a service.
But then like if you have, so like I know like when I have customer service issues, right, I talk to a bot, and then if they can't help me, then I'm transferred to a person who can then, you know, the nuance of let me explain to you why I didn't get this and how I should be refined, you know. So like I am agreeing with you that on the lower end, yes, AI can, but you still, when it's not black and white and there's a story and a nuance, then you need a person. So I do think that.
But I've never spoken to a person at Amazon.
No, I that's exactly what I have.
Yeah.
No, I just did like 2 days ago because we lost a package. That's what I'm saying. Like it starts here and then
It's
it's
getting a little
elevated.
defensive over here.
Well, I just think you're wrong. I mean, I just think.
But it's also, let's go back 2 years ago. Would have we even been having this conversation?
No, I mean, it's definitely accelerating.
And so the world is it's changing so fast. So you're really, when I'm thinking about building our company, it's what a technology will occur 2 years from now. And if we build the infrastructure for that, then we're going to be fine. And so 2 years ago, we were building the infrastructure for today, which is why we're able to take so much advantage of it. Because it's really just exponential linearity for the technological curve. And so I had a suspicion that with ChatGPT coming out, it was going to be very quickly until the IQ of ChatGPT was just asking questions to doing almost everything for you. So we were just trying to build the infrastructure for that back then.
So what things are you utilizing right now? Like you mentioned the AI agents, and I know that there's programs that you can use to build those, right? Now, what program do you recommend?
It's tough to give a recommendation when the world is changing so quickly. And so,
well, let's talk about, because you said I got we all got on ChatGPT, and you go, oh, that's old news now. Now it's Claude. And then you said, but Claude's going to get replaced, right? So walk through the progression, because that's a good question Danielle asked.
Yeah, it starts with ChatGPT, and that's like the world completely changed with ChatGPT coming out, but it couldn't do anything that complicated. You could ask it questions and it would give you answers, and it was really cool. But then as things started to progress, you would get like ChatGPT, like more and more updates would come out, more Claude and other technology. And probably 4 or 5 months ago, there was an OpenClaw that came out. In NVIDIA, their CEO, Jensen Huang, which is probably the most technological advanced company in the world, said, this is the singular most important technology we've ever had in our entire lives.
OpenClaw?
Because what OpenClaw did is it went from just having ChatGPT to one prompting tasks. And so it went from just asking questions to doing things. And that was the next big shift.
Can you give us an example of that when you say doing things?
So it could take over our computer and actually do the accounting for you.
Oh, because that's what you're talking about with the monitoring and the clicking.
Correct.
Okay.
And so ChatGPT, it was just a knowledge base. But now with OpenClaw and Claude Code, you can actually have it do things for you.
So that's what you were saying when the prompts kind of went away.
Yeah. So prompting's not that important anymore.
But it was in the beginning. Everybody was doing all these prompts, but you're saying now, because there was all these things, use this prompt, use that prompt. You're saying that's gone now because of this.
It's still quasi important, but it's really not. Like your data that you feed it is way more important than the prompt that you give it. And so if you can give it, let's say, your entire data on your real estate company, and the way that you would do that is you would have every single person in your real estate company screen monitor and walk through every single thing they actually do. And you would feed it, and you would probably have an AI engineer that would come in and replace every single task that it can within your organization. And then you would feed that into a bigger AI agent that controls, let's say, your entire accounting division. And then it would be your entire marketing.
So it's like our org chart.
So that's exactly how we're going about it.
Wow.
You're breaking it down as if it was an org chart, starting at the bottom layer, because the bottom layer is where people are actually doing the work.
So in a traditional org chart, you'd have let's say a CEO, and then the vice presidents, let's say, and then all your departments, and then under that, your accountants and your HR people. You're saying you build your AI agents that way,
yeah,
to flow up.
Correct. And then you really need the super good people at judgment. And those people are becoming more valuable because their decisions are like, they're like a super incredible decision maker is now able to instruct an entire team on whatever they want. And so they're orchestrating tons and tons of AI agents that it would have taken 50 people to do, but now they can do it and iterate instantly. And then they can look at the data and say, hey, here's what we need to change. And then you have your AI engineer that comes in and does it all.
Now we've depressed everyone. So, so to Daniil's point, what can somebody do today? How does like an old people like us stay on top of this?
It's hard because the world is changing so quickly. If you asked me this 6 months ago, my answer would have been completely different. And so my answer 6 months from now will definitely be
I have to ask you every 6 months?
Yeah. Well, I think it's having really good human connection. So what am I hiring for right now? It's not AI engineers or software engineers. It's people that have incredible judgment, that like are really world-class experts with experience, where they have a ton of, let's say, a Rolodex of people that they can call. And so that doesn't really help people too much, but that's what's very valuable, is if you have past connections and if you have like a big network of people, and if you can make decisions effectively, because very soon every single person is just managing AI. And so you'll be managing 50 different AI agents, and it's your call to make a decision as to where the AI agent should be going.
But the small businesses are going to transition faster than these large, you talk about banks.
100% true.
So if somebody's working in one of those big companies, like they're not, fully getting everybody replaced anytime soon. So what could they do if they're sitting in their cubicle right now and they want to kind of take on some of this AI?
Is it going to take down some of these big companies?
Yeah, so this is actually something that just happened a few weeks ago. I was negotiating with one of the largest insurance companies in the entire world, and we were going to do an AI project for them. We were going to be replacing part of their staff, and it was going to be a massive deal. And they said, here's the problem. I love this, let's do it, but if any of our data leaks, we need to make sure that you have a $10 million liability on your head. And so I was like, well, let me weigh the pros and cons here. We're going to do this for you for 500 grand. But if any sort of data leak occurs, it's a $10 million lawsuit. It's just not worth the ROI. And so those companies have too much risk to move quickly. And so we just turned down the deal because we couldn't rationalize it.
So there's a lot of this going on.
And so these bigger companies, they have risk of things go wrong. And so there's huge opportunities to go into those large organizations if you can set up secure AI that is not going to have any data leaks and start to automate their stuff. And the best way, as you were saying, Daniil, is if they're actually in the organization themselves. And so I think the way that they would do that is, as I was saying, just identify the tasks in your job and then figure out how you can have AI start to do it. And the amazing thing is you do not have to be technical. I do not know how to code. I got stuff scares me. It scares you guys too, but you don't have to. All you would do is say, hey, Claude, here's what I just did. How can I do it better? Or what would I need to do for you to do it? And then it's just really having questions. And
so you just have to listen.
Exactly. And
right.
Now
ask
with
the right questions
update,
and listen.
we were saying it wasn't just knowledge. Now it can do it for you. And so then you would say, okay, what are the actionable steps that need to happen to actually do this? Tell me exactly what buttons to press. So it would say, okay, open N8N. Here's the exact button that you press. Here's the prompt that you give it. Here's everything that you're going to feed it. And then it just does it for you. And you need people that can understand very small technical pieces of it. But if you're at any company, there's someone at your company that can help with the technical side if you give it all the information.
Don't you think, too, that a lot of business owners, or managers, they want to implement AI, but they don't have time and they don't know how and they don't want to take it on and they don't have the budget maybe to hire somebody, an extra role to put it into the company?
That's a really hard situation to be in, because that's how most people that are working right now, their plates are full. You're working full time on the things that you already have to do. And then you have a life outside of work. So when is there time to learn this stuff? And that's a really, really, really challenging situation. And that's where we were just discussing this before we started. The people that are really well off.
We call them bad habits.
Yeah.
Even though they're not, they're
habits,
but they're old habits. And so how do you break old habits?
I would ask you. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
having an open mind, and
it's a fair point.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
and how do you push technology through an organization when it's has potential of somebody losing their job?
Yeah, I mean, I think that different organizations want or don't want that, right? Like if you work at a bank and you're, working for your manager, like they're not going to want you to be doing AI. You almost need to have a connection, in my opinion, to the owner of the company where you can go to the owner and say, listen, like I think I can do this and here's what I did with my job and I think I can, cut costs cuz in too big of a company if you're too far down the food chain, like nobody wants that because that's just going to threaten your manager's job and they're just going to think of disruption and having to learn something new
And
and
all that stuff's gone. I mean, if you
yeah.
look out 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what is a bank? It's really just a glorified bookkeeper and they do loans. There's really not that much that they do. And so those companies that have thousands of employees, why do they have so many people? Because there's so many black and white tasks that have to get done. And so those tasks are just going to get obliterated.
You just called a bank a glorified
Yeah,
bookkeeper.
well they do a little more than that. I mean, I used to work at a bank. I mean, you give people money and you have vault codes and you
But
have
not
to
really anymore. Like, when was the last time you went to a bank and took out cash? It's not too frequently. Like 99.9% of the money is just a digital ledger on your bank
But
account,
people
your app.
do it though.
Yeah.
People
And so those
do,
people will still have a job, but the ones that are in the back room in our corporate office here,
yeah.
they are not going to be too useful.
Right. To your point, they're not customer facing and they're not, relationship building. They're just kind of in the back doing
So those are the
checks and
only two things that
balances.
we're hiring for. People that have pre-existing relationships that can go out and just find new revenue sources for us, and people that have good judgment. And that judgment is now everyone's just a manager but they're managing AI. And so your job is not doing tasks. If people are doing every single tasks at their organization, you need to start to think through, why am I doing this and why is AI not doing it? If you have an open mind and if you're questioning things, AI can do the task if you figure out a way.
So it's basically managing AI agents at this point.
Yeah.
And if there's any tasks at all, it should be AI.
But now your best people can do 100 times better. So now there's such a weird curve going on right now where the best people are making so much more money because they can do 100 times the amount of work and they can do it at the same quality that they were doing. But the people that were not that good and kind of slacked off at their job and never really took it seriously, they are getting worse and worse and worse. And then it's the same thing where the people that are just starting are going to probably be okay because they don't have the bad habits, and people who are really good are taking a lot of advantage. It really is rough for the middle, and that's where everyone I know from back home is, and that scares me. And what does that do to the economy? It is definitely concerning in so many ways.
So let's talk about velocity and time. Like, so things have changed a lot in just 1 year, like a lot. I mean, I was using Open or Chat GPT a year ago. Now, of course, I'm not. Now I'm even moving towards something else. So where's all this headed and how fast?
I don't know. I'm not good at predicting the future. I thought that it was going to take longer than it has. When ChatGPT came out and we were starting to work with it, it was just a good knowledge base. And I thought that it was very cool and exciting. And it was making our jobs more effective and we were able to squeeze out way more productivity per person. But now that person isn't even involved that much anymore. And so the world has changed so much in 2 years. It's hard to even comprehend what the world will look like 2 years from now. And so if I wanted to build a company that was 100% AI proof, building it for where people are trying to make technology head, it's probably pure all agentic workflows. And AI does every single task that involves a computer, and people are really not involved a ton. And so then what is valuable? And that's doing things with your hand. And then I think having brand on the same side of it with what you've done, because you have such a strong brand, our cost per lead is so cheap. And whereas we could have the same technology that has the best marketing, but they don't know who that person is. So they're not buying from them either way. And so because people know you, like you, and trust you, we're able to actually lower our customer acquisition cost over time, which and forever, companies will always want more customers. And so that's where I think there's a huge opportunity still.
So I know we're going to talk about this at Limitless, right? And we've got, we're putting together these AI panels of people that are all predicting double-digit unemployment. And when I first heard double-digit unemployment, I was like, there's no way, right? And then you start to hear it more and more and more. So what do you, I know you're really, really involved in Limitless. You'll be there this year. Let's talk about that.
I would be curious what you're seeing with your tenants. because you have your boots on the ground, because you have access to so much awesome data. You have 10,000 different people that are paying you rent every single month. And so I would love to hear, are you seeing people, are the checks slowing down? And then why are people saying the checks are slowing down? Are their jobs starting to get replaced? Because all I hear is the news, and I'm in my siloed bubble where all we're thinking about is AI every single day. But I don't know what other large corporations are doing. So that would show up for you at the bottom level with the tenants. And so I don't know how quickly companies will move. That's a pure question. But what are you seeing right now?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to depend on where the properties are. For example, if you've got properties in and around tech centers, like San Francisco or maybe downtown Seattle or, Portland or some of these spots, I think you're going to see it's going to be very, very different than if you're in the Midwest, right? And you're in construction or, whatever it might be, right? So I think it's going to be based on the apartment class and the location. But right now, we're not seeing a huge issue with our tenants. Personally, we're not. Doesn't mean we won't, but we're not. And I think, to your point, it depends on what they do, right? Depending on if they're in mid-management, like a white-collar mid-management, I think they're probably at risk, right? But if they're in a trade, I don't think they're at risk, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. There's just so many unknowns where if all the white-collar people lose their jobs and unemployment's 15%, then who's gonna be able to afford someone that's a plumber?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, does the government just pay everyone? And that's where there's just so many unknowns because technology's changing so much.
If you look at economies that have slow job growth, which is kind of a similar thing, they have high unemployment and slow job growth. Typically, the government jobs is what expands. If you look at like the Russian economy and different economies around there. And so for me, I would imagine that, you either give people money or you give them a job. So you got to do one or the other. You got to pay them regardless, right?
Feed them and house them.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't like that future, which is why I think it's so important to go to things like Limitless, because every single speaker that you're bringing there, they're at the front of this.
They are.
And
we're really digging in on this. I'm telling you, it's moving fast. I mean, we have people that aren't speakers that are from Silicon Valley coming that they just look at the world differently. I'm sitting over here in my little company with 400 people, right? And I'm thinking they're all safe. And I want them to be, actually. But you're saying that they're not.
I don't know, because that's where the entrepreneur is so good, because the entrepreneur finds opportunities. And with opportunities, there are for sure going to be people that are involved in them. It's just that their roles might be changing a little bit. And I'm purely optimistic on the future, and technology is always good.
But you said you went through depression first.
Yeah.
When you started to realize it.
And this was about 16 months ago when ChatGPT was coming out, and I was looking through the foreground and saying, I'm not going to have a job. Like I'm completely screwed it was just very clear that how fast the technology was going to advance. But now I'm actually a lot more optimistic, because people are still involved in a lot of ways, and we're hiring more people than we ever have, because there's opportunity.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're growing like crazy.
And so, like last year we had 8 people, now we have 30, and we're hiring aggressively because there's so much opportunity. And so I think the entrepreneurial spirit is always going to find opportunity where there is, and you're still going to need people to fulfill on things.
Can you tell us what kind of a person are you hiring? Like you added 23 people. Or 20
people
22.
with great judgment,
okay,
that can has a good eye for things. Like when someone's saying like what makes a great video, you can name all the components of it, and AI can very easily do all of those components. But sometimes you just have to look at it and say, is this good or not? And that's where there's judgment involved. And so someone that has good judgment, and then someone that has pre-existing relationships with other large companies, and those people are very, very, very useful.
So anybody who's still doing things with paper, they're in trouble, right?
I can't even imagine doing things with paper. I haven't written anything down.
Have you ever actually written a check?
No, I haven't. No, I was finding a new place to rent, and they asked for a check, and I asked her like, what is wrong with you guys?
But first of all, where are you going?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, because I didn't know people still did that. That's the new.
And I think that it was interesting, because I was talking to my son the other day, and he's like, I've only written one check ever. I go, what are you talking about? Like, for all of us, this is the reason I bring it up is because that's how stark the difference is. There are people that are writing checks, and there are people that never have written checks, and that's how I see this.
Now my AI has access to my bank account so it can spend money for me when it's a good decision. And so, I mean, that's how crazy it's got.
That's nuts, dude. I don't know that I would do that.
Now, it was just a test. I put a small budget on it. It was a debit card to where it couldn't spend out of control, but just to see how it would do. And it didn't do that good, which is still good for people. It's definitely an opportunity, though. It's just coming at things with an open mind. So you're looking for people, and this is no matter what you're hiring for. You've hired way more people, and so I would ask you. It's the exact same characteristic traits that you're looking for at all times. It's people with a strong work ethic, that are ambitious, that are open-minded, that want to learn and grow, and they're problem solvers. There's never been a bigger opportunity for someone that's high agency, which just means that they proactively see problems and solve them. The people who are in trouble are problem identifiers who just say, "This is hard. Let me pass it on to the next layer," because every single problem is solvable now. And then it's like there should never be a problem that gets to a layer of management, because you can solve it, because now the cost of knowledge is zero.
So if you're in a committee meeting, you're toast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it should be like high level strategy stuff.
Yeah.
Because knowledge, the cost of it has gone to zero. So all these people that went to college because they were gaining a skill and they were trying to learn information, that information has been wiped out by AI. And so then whenever a problem arises in your company, and that's all we're dealing with every single day, all you get is like the worst problems that come up. And that's where humans, you still will need them forever, because it can identify the problem and it can solve it, but it might not know the best direction to go in. So someone that identifies problems and proactively solves them are the most valuable skill in the world at all times. And so it's just finding those kinds of people.
So if you're sitting in a big corporation somewhere, let's say, and you don't have a real voice, I mean, maybe you do in your little department, what are some moves people can make today?
Come and work for me.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Where do they go? Do they go to?
That's a really tough question. I've never been in a corporate world. I'm probably the least corporate human on earth. And so I'm the wrong person to ask. What do you think they should do?
They should go. Well, I think the path that you've developed has only been a year, right? You immerse yourself. And by the way, there's a lot of really good videos on YouTube about this, right? Mm-hmm. So I would study as much as I could. If I had let's say an accounting job, I was a bookkeeper, I would go online and try to figure out, am I going to be replaced, right? What are the questions I would be asking? What would you ask?
I would ask AI. Like, you don't really need to search YouTube to ask AI questions.
That's true.
And so I would ask Claude, what am I missing? I would give it all of the information that I have, and you can now talk to it. And I would talk to it for 45 minutes, and I would say, here's every single thing that I do. Here's the situation I'm in. What would you do if you were looking to replace my job?
Is my job in jeopardy?
I guarantee you your job is in jeopardy. So you can already just say yes. But then it's, how do you become more efficient? And how can you go to your employer and say, I can handle 10 times the amount of work. Give me more work.
Right. And my boss is a dinosaur. I'm trying to figure out how to be relevant.
How pumped would you be if your staff was saying,
that's true.
Ken, okay, I want more work.
All right. Well, that's a move. That's what I was looking for. Cause
just be ambitious and solve problems proactively. You can do more work. And so don't just say, okay, I do more work now I work for 30 minutes a day. I'm going to go play pickleball for the rest of the day. It's okay. Like, let's do more. Let's have fun. Because it is really fun. That's what I always love when we're talking. Yeah. I'm always asking, how are you? And said, I'm just having a great time. Yep. Where a lot of people are just saying, this is miserable. I hate this. And if you just have a proactive attitude towards it, then it's very fun. And it can be grim if you take it as such, but it's super, super interesting. And it's the most exciting time to be alive.
Well, thanks, Josh. Hopefully this is helpful for those of you listening.
Hopefully no one's terrified right now.
Yeah, right? So, well, thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.